Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to first start by thanking all the senators who supported this bill, who made their contribution to this bill. I'm very honored that you took your time to read the bill and understand on the importance of our benefits. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'll start by thanking Senator Mutula Kilonzo for having taken the time to second this bill and really try to remind us that today we are here and tomorrow we are on the other side. It is always very important for you to look at life as today you are winning and tomorrow you could lose. And your welfare, personal welfare, is very, very, very important. More so of a person who has given 5 years or 10 years of their life to serve this nation diligently, waking up very early in the morning, sometimes not even sleeping at all, because of the interest of this nation. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also thank Senator Mwaura for his contribution on this bill, and I'm happy that he was able to illustrate clearly how desperate one becomes when he leaves and he has to depend on another person for their benefits to be granted. Mr. Speaker, sir, Senator Mwaura spoke a lot about the youth and the fact that if he served this, by the end of his second term, he will not even be 45 years old to be able to access his benefit. That shows you, or that tells you, Mr. Speaker, sir, that this issue of your personal welfare or personal well-being when you are serving this nation is something that must always be considered in terms of when we are looking at, in the event that one wants to alter your benefit, they have to go back and think about the time that you served this country without asking any question. Mr. Speaker, sir, all the comments made by all the senators, Senator Algura, really explained the importance of this bill. The fact that you are given benefits, even though you do not agree with the current government, that should not be the reason as to why your benefits should be altered, yet it is written within the law. Mr. Speaker, sir, the challenge that I saw in this bill earlier on is that this bill, or the Act of Parliament as it was, when it was passed in 2015, really had a lot of loopholes. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to agree with Senator Sakaja that there might be additional amendments which are required to be brought on this bill. Mr. Speaker, sir, the more I interrogated the Act of 2015, I realized that the Office of the Chief Justice, which is very, very, very important, there are certain benefits which we should consider including during the amendment stages. Mr. Speaker, sir, when a Chief Justice retires, it is important that we value that office. I've looked at the first schedule of the Act, and there are certain benefits which I don't think it would cost us a lot of money if we can rely on the knowledge or the experience that a former Chief Justice have. It is imperative that, and I'll be bringing some amendments, to be able to fully support an office of a retired Chief Justice, which is still covered in this, in the Act as it was in 2015, Mr. Speaker, sir. We can really mentor our youth. Even though we may not require them, supporting them and giving them an opportunity to be able to take care of their well-being, it is important for us to think about what we gain from ensuring that we continue supporting their life. Giving them an office, Mr. Speaker, sir, and allowing that retired Chief Justice to be consulted on, in the event that we want to, let's say, amend the Constitution or change certain laws, it's something which is very, very important. And supporting these people. There are so many people who are interested, Mr. Speaker, sir. I know the governors were also very interested in this matter. And there was an issue of the other bill which was sponsored by Senator Sakaja, which was looking at the county governments. But it is important for us to look at them as state officers and also reward them, or actually continue appreciating the time that they serve this country. Mr. Speaker, sir, one issue which was of concern to Senator Sakaja had to do with an issue of Article 245 of the Constitution, which says that, which relates to the issue of the IG, and particularly on the employment, assignment, promotion, suspension, or dismissal of any member of the National Police Service. Mr. Speaker, sir, I will spend some more time with Senator Sakaja to really try to understand, because this bill does not focus on the issues of suspension. It doesn't also focus on the issue of employment of the police officers. It focuses really on the benefit aspect of it, Mr. Speaker, sir. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm willing to engage Senator Sakaja for him to be able to illuminate me further on this aspect where he saw that this bill could be unconstitutional, looking at trying to change the powers of the IG as enshrined in the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, sir, if indeed we may need to change certain provision of this bill, I welcome and I want to encourage more members to be able to really look at the act as it was. And the most important thing, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that the public ought to know that this bill does not aim to increase the wage bill. This bill is very clear. It is sealing loopholes. It is also encouraging people to serve this country. Because when you know, after you serve this country, Mr. Speaker, sir, no one has a right to alter your benefit. Even though you differ in your political opinion, that is what democracy is all about, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, on the amendments proposed by my dear sister, let me see what the amendments were. Senator Farhia, on the issue of the car, that is something that we can be able to look into, Mr. Speaker, sir. But I ask myself, how much money do we lose in terms of corruption? These are not so many people. We are looking at the Speaker of both houses. We are looking at the Deputy President. We are looking at the Chief Justice and other designated state officers. We are looking at the former Prime Minister of this country. These are very, very few people, Mr. Speaker, sir. I was really moved by seeing the amount of power or benefit that the former president of the US enjoys. Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. spoke about the way the former president of this republic is treated, President Mwai Kibaki. When he goes to church, there is a seat for him there waiting for him. He enjoys the security. We must encourage this kind of thinking, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, when we think about our future, and I think it's a high time that even us as members of parliament really ought to take this thing very seriously, Mr. Speaker, sir. Because the number of former members of parliament that I see walking in the corridors of parliament really shocks me. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, this issue of welfare, personal welfare, it's something that we actually, and I agree with my dear sister when she talked about us looking at all other legislation that focuses on the personal welfare of state officers. This will help us really deter corruption. Because there's no point of somebody going out there and starting a briefcase company, because having been a former state officer, he still has connection to be able to come up and get shoddy jobs, Mr. Speaker, sir. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I think the entire issue of personal welfare of former state officers, members of parliament, even members of the county assemblies, even the former councillors ought to be considered. That will help us be able to move this country. And even the future generation will be looking forward to working for the government, because they know that once they are done, no one will alter their benefit. Mr. Speaker, sir, all senators who spoke on this bill, Senator Cheruyot, really spoke about the issue of respect, dignity. Mr. Speaker, sir, when you respect me, I will definitely respect you. When I've served this nation diligently, I ought to be respected. If at any time anyone feels that there is a need to alter the benefits that have been given to me, they have a right to petition Parliament. And when they petition Parliament, it will go before the leaders of both sides. So nobody will say you're targeting me because I don't agree with you politically, Mr. Speaker, sir. So this section that we introduce, whereby anyone who seeks to alter the benefit of a former state officer to petition this joint committee will actually be able to give justice. Mr. Speaker, sir, when you give so much, you really, in most cases, don't get much in return. But I think we are in an opportunity as a Senate. And the good thing about this bill, Mr. Speaker, sir, it also puts the Senate, it brings in the Senate into the whole picture, whereby we're talking about welfare, Mr. Speaker, sir. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, once again, I want to thank all the senators, Senator Mtula Kilonzo, Senator Mwaura, Senator Musurure, Senator Cherelgei, Senator Sakaja, Senator Faria, Senator, and I know Senator Outa also spoke about this. And also, of course, I must thank the good professor, Senator Ongeri, for having actually really talked about what happens when you leave office. In most cases, Mr. Speaker, sir, the moment these state officers leave these offices, their phone stop ringing completely, to a point where, and I know one former state officer spoke about this, when they were in office as a PS, their phone would ring 24/7. But the moment they left, they lost all their friends. When you lose your friends who you are always doing deals for, what about your immediate family? And that is the reason why, Mr. Speaker, sir, I ensured that in this bill, the children of former state officers are protected. In the event of death, or actually even in the event of where just the state officer has retired, Mr. Speaker, sir. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move that this bill be read a second time, and because of the numbers, I wish to request Understanding Order 55-3 that you defer putting the question so that it gives so that we can be able to do it another time. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.